Welcome to the Damascus Encounter, the program where we share beautiful life stories, experiences that people have encountered as they met Jesus. Someone once said, if you dare ask God, show me or prove to me that this is this, you will be surprised how God will come through. So whether you do not believe in the Sabbath, you do not know which God is God, if you ask him, he will answer. I have with me in the studio today someone who decided to test God at the end of the day. If you make this happen, then I will know you want me to go in this particular path. I have with me in the studio to share his story, God's Time, Handson. Welcome to Damascus Encounter.
Thank you, sir.
So, can we meet you? Let us know who God's Time is and a little bit about your background.
Okay. I'm God's Time Handson. I'm from River State,
Okay.
Port Harcourt. I born in a family of 4 boys and 2 girls.
All right.
My dad is an educationist and my mom is a nurse.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in a local setting, but as time went on, we relocated to the city where we had our education and all that.
Okay.
So, by the grace of God, I graduated from the University of Port Harcourt,
Where you studied.
Human Kinetics and Health.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's good knowing and meeting you and also sharing a little bit about your background. Now, you grew up in a Christian setting.
Yes, sir.
Your father, you said, was a pastor?
I was a pastor, yeah.
Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit about his pastoral experience, his marriage, and then we'll go on from there.
Okay, the truth be told, my grandfather, my dad's father, was a native doctor. But as God could have it, as they were growing up, the dad picked him up to a pastor and said, this particular one, I don't want him to follow my footstep. Others can follow my footstep, but this particular one is different. Please, whenever you are going to church, always go with him. So that was the difference between him and the siblings. Why the siblings were practicing all those fetish belief and the rest of it, my dad was brought up in a godly way.
Okay.
And that was it. So as he grew up, he accepted Christianity. He had a personal encounter with Jesus. I don't know how it happened, but I grew up to see my father as a devoted and a dedicated Christian. But however, he didn't embrace total scripture and holistically. As I was growing up as a child, there were some traces I saw in him as a pastor that I wasn't comfortable with. So we are worshiping together, but I don't know, those characteristics in him, like I said earlier, I was not comfortable with. So we started following him to church. And as time went on, there was a change in decision. We decided not to go again because the practices, it got to a point that our mom, whenever our dad is praying with us, we find it so difficult to flow with him. So whenever our mom is having a devotion with us, we are always happy and we feel free to participate. At times when our dad is coming to our room to have devotion with us, we just pretend as if we've already had devotion already. We tell him that because he will want to cast, he want to bind, he want to read the entirety of scriptures and will spend a whole lot of time. And he's this man that if you're sick, he does not believe in all these synthetic drugs. He believes that prayers alone can heal you. While my mom is this person that she has the faith and she believed that doing the right thing will give you what you want. She believed that God has created these things for our own good. Yes, however, we just need to pray and apply the medication needed. So when we are sick, he will only use olive oil and ask us to drink use it and apply all over our body, and that was it. So
it didn't feel very interesting.
the smell of the olive oil and everything we were not so comfortable with. So at times when we are sick, we pretend that we are okay, and we tell our mom that we are sick. So I was not comfortable with this kind of Christian practices.
Okay.
That's
so
the truth.
Let's come to talk about your mom was also born and raised a Christian, but then she married your father. Their faith, were they of the same faith?
No, actually not the same faith. My dad got married to my mom at tender age. In fact, my dad trained my mom from SS3 till her school of nursing, midwifery, and the rest of it. So when he went to her parents for her hand in marriage, he made a promise that I know you are a Seventh-day Adventist, and I promise to join your faith. I promise to do whatever I want. I wouldn't stand as a barrier to her faith. So as godly parents, they said, okay, this is what my daughter wants. Okay, you people can go ahead and marry. So that was the decision, and that was the agreement prior to their marriage. So after marriage, after some years, the ball game changed. Dad said he's the head of the family, and mom can detect for him. So mom should follow him to his own faith. And as a wife who was obedient to the husband,
that African thinking,
the mentality of women being subject to the leadership of their husband, she compromised to her belief, and that how we were all born, not in Adventist, but in Sunday way.
Okay, so and this continued, of course, for some time, and so these you've talked about his way of praying a little bit. You are not very comfortable with it, and so on. So how eventually, for how long did all of this continue? You were still going to church with him, and then you had to go to school. When you started all of this going to school, did you still go to church on Sundays, or how?
Okay, when we moved from Port Harcourt to around Shoba side Diop, which is also Port Harcourt area, we had to change to a different church. We were not following him. Then I was the first person who gained admission to leave the home. So when I found myself in Calabar, University of Calabar, I searched around, but I didn't see the particular church I was going. There was a particular church I liked. I think that was Great Evangelism World Crusade. The pastor is Numbere, late Pastor Numbere. So I liked his teaching. So when I got there, I didn't see any of that church. So I was just attending one of the churches that were so close to me down there in Calabar.
And being a Christian all through.
And being a Christian all through.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that experience, the olive oil experience, and then the laying of hands where you wouldn't fall down, and what transpired. Okay,
one of the days my dad, he took us, my siblings and I, we went for an all-night program, including my mom. So the senior pastor came and was praying, conducting deliverance services, and people were falling, jumping, and making noise. When it got to our turn, we lined up, and he applied the olive oil to my eldest brother and to all of us. Then he observed something, that we were not responding. We were not falling. We were not shouting.
By responding, you were supposed to fall down, or
according to their belief. Yes. So according to them, the Holy Spirit has the same method of getting to people. So he expected us to have fall down and roll. So when that didn't happen, after the program, he came to our father and told our father that your children are being possessed by evil spirits, and that those spirits are so powerful. So that was what he said. That statement he made turned our mind, that we told our dad that we'll never follow you to your church again. So that was the decision
Because
we
you
took
knew you
that
were
day.
not possessed.
I knew I was okay. I was okay, and I was okay. So we got angry with that statement, so we couldn't follow him to church again.
So which church did you now started attending after this dramatic experience?
Okay, after that dramatic experience, this one went his way, this one went his way, this one went his way, but he wasn't comfortable with us. He will force us, and at times, while going to church with him, some persons will be crying and all that. We were not comfortable, but I know I identified myself with Deeper Life. I identified myself with Redeem and other churches like that.
Okay, so but all along, as you all went to different churches, your mother, was she still going with him, or she also joined you to other churches?
Okay, in the year 2000, she identified herself back to her faith.
She came back to the...
It got to a point that she couldn't condone the practices anymore.
the church,
in the Sunday church where she was worshiping, so she decided to trace back her church. So I think that's my one church in Port Harcourt there. Yes. So one of those days we visited the my one church, and when we went, the way the choristers, the order of worship, the way I think that was Elder Onyike, then who was the choir master, the way he conducted the choir, however, the way he dressed and the choir robe, we felt so different. I myself, personally, I was cold, like there were ghost pimple all over my body, the mood of processing and everything. I said,
very
wow,
impressive.
so organized from the Sabbath school, and from Sabbath school down to divine service. No, I don't know how to put it. There was no gap. Like everything was just planned. It was not like a monologue where you go to church and just see one person doing the preaching, the praying, and everything, the teaching. I saw that in this part that gifts were shared to respective functions, were shared to individuals. And what interested me most was that I saw little children also coming up to speak to the adult. I said, wow, so this is also possible in the church, setting where children are allowed to preach. So that caught our interest. The next Sabbath we went again. The third Sabbath we went, it was Pastor David Moni Onyekwere. Yes, who preached that day. He just used John 3:16. And just 3:16, by the grace of God, got hold of my eldest brother and my sister. And that day they got baptized. They got baptized and they accepted the faith. I and my twin brother, we were still the kind of person that when we come and we see that Sabbath school is still on, we will run away and look for a place to play around them.
Okay, but so anyhow, you got impressed by the mode of worship, the orderliness, and the teachings, which we'll get to talk about where all of this led you after this time. Or don't go away. We'll be right back. Still the Damascus Encounter, and we're sharing with God's Time Handson, who has been talking to us about his experience and how he got impressed by worship service in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. His siblings, 3 of them, got baptized listening to a sermon on John 3:16. So, tell us, for how long did it then take before you got baptized after your siblings?
Okay, I think it took 5 years.
5 years.
With 5 years, I got baptized in the year 2007 by a program conducted by Pastor Oriako and Professor Omionu.
Okay.
Yeah, in Ilimbu, Port Harcourt. That was the year I got baptized.
Okay, so when you got baptized, your father, did he get to know you were all baptized, and was it all, how did it go on the home front? Your mom going back to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, her kids, everybody practically following him but your dad?
Well, he came to a conclusion that, well, if you want to follow your mom to church on Saturday, you are free, but on Sundays you have to follow me. Yes, as the head of the family. So it was like some Saturdays will follow our mom. It was mandatory that Saturday we must go because we're enjoying the practices there. Okay. While some Sundays, via obedience, we will just follow him and go. And That was how we were managing, and it got a point that we now said no, and that was all.
But there was no rift, no commotion. Everything just went smoothly.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't so easy. It wasn't so easy. I remember one of the days that he beat my mom, and I said, "You are dividing the home." There was a whole lot of chaos at home then, fightings and quarrels and all that. Church members will come and try to settle. So it wasn't easy. It got a point that he said, "Okay, since you have taken the children, you have to cater for them." But
that is, you have to be the
you
one
have to take care. Yes,
them,
yes, yes.
Take care of every.
Yes, but although he's a nice and caring dad, he couldn't hold to that. So he still.
It was just the ego thing.
Yes,
for the man.
yes, he still allowed him. So, you know, he wasn't comfortable going to church and seeing other families complete, and he was just alone.
The lone person.
Alone, he was lonely, so he was not comfortable. So whenever he goes to church and come back, he's not happy with everybody at home. He's not happy, so he's feeling bad because the members will ask him, "How about your family? How about your family?" And he's the pastor. "How about your family?" And you're preaching about unity. "How about your family?" So he wasn't comfortable. That's why every Sunday is always a problem at home, because he come back, and when he reflects the questions and the inability to answer, where your children, your wife and all that, it becomes a problem at home.
Okay, so now let's come to this issue of this aspect where you practically gave up everything you had before you got convinced and got baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You had some businesses you were doing.
Yes.
And one by one you had to let go. You want to share a little?
Yes, knowing where I'm coming from, I needed to be self-supportive. So when I gained admission to University of Calabar, I decided to do businesses too. I had a database business, and I also run restaurants. So I did those business, and I was having enough money. I was so comfortable. I had enough money, but I wasn't comfortable. I was restless.
Something was missing.
I was restless. I could have the money. I'll see the money, and I'll say, before you know it, I've used it to do something that at the end of the day, it's not tangible. I'll not see something to point out that this is what I used the money for. And it got a point that people were coming to get money from me. I would lend, I would borrow and all that. But yet, I wasn't satisfied. I had up to 4 restaurants in Unical then. On campus. And I wasn't satisfied. I said, okay, maybe it's because in campus, let me get one outside. I opened one off campus, and I was controlling all of them. I had people that were working for me, but inside of me, I knew that something was missing. And this is because every Saturday when I go to church, I was the choir master, I was the youth director. There's this peace of mind I will always get whenever I go to church on Saturday. And even when I've not fully joined ministry, some of my friends will be calling me pastor, because when I go to church, I will stay from 8 till 6 p.m. Yes, that's when I'll be coming back. So they were not really comfortable with me. They would be calling me pastor, you want to make heaven and all that. But that was the only place that I could get
that peace.
That peace I need. But I needed a peace that will last for beyond just Saturday's issues. So I couldn't grab that. Until that was in 2018. When a friend of mine, Mr. John Akusu, the evangelist in our life mission, called me that they are having a program in the Akwa Ibom. If I would like to attend, it's a groundbreaking program. I said, okay, I will give it a try. But I wasn't convinced. When I was 10, I was going to call me pastor, but I didn't see any light in that, because I didn't see anything attractive being a pastor. Pastor, I know my dad, where he was getting his money, not because he was a pastor and because he was a principal. He was an economist, and I know that was where he was getting his money and all that. And when I joined the Adventist faith, I saw the pastors and how they were, that they were not really financially buoyant. So there was nothing really interesting in the pastoral aspect of it. So I was just trying in all aspects to disassociate myself from anything being called a pastor. Despite how the elders were trying to encourage me you. Because according to them, they say whenever I speak, whenever I handle a program, they feel it that it's in me. Yes, but I was looking towards being an engineer, looking towards business, being a big businessman and all that. So that continued until that 2018, where I decided to give it a try.
So you went to their live program, and what happened?
Yes, it wasn't easy going to their live program because I already went to market. I stocked my restaurants, and when I took the decision, I told God that if this is your will for me, I asked God to show me 3 things in that mission. Okay. So after stocking my restaurant, I told my boys that you people can manage these businesses. I don't need anything from you. Just run the business. I needed to empty myself. I said, Lord, I don't want anything distraction. Okay. But I said, what if this is not the will of God? Do I come back and tell these boys to return back my business, and as I've empowered them, how do I cope with that? I told God that, okay, these are the 3 signs I need from you, if indeed this is your will for me.
And those 3 signs were what?
Number 1, I told God something about my dad.
Okay.
Yes, my dad.
And the second one?
The second one, I told God something about my school.
Okay.
Yes. Then the third one, I told God that I want to get 3 people to join the faith directly through the words that were impressed on me to talk to them.
Okay.
So that was it. And that happened till the first week. I didn't see any of this happening. I was in charge of the programming and all that. I was so busy, but I was so conscious of those 3 signs I've asked of God. So from time to time, I was checkmating. I would call my home, I would call school and all that. So the first week passed, 2 weeks groundbreaking has passed. The 1 week health exposition, we've started, and the program is yet to start, another 2 weeks. So the 3 weeks passed, there was no sign. It happened the last week that I went and I met someone who has decided to even become a Muslim because of how he has been getting it twisted in Christendom. Okay. So he decided to be a Muslim. He said it's better because those persons are united and they have one focus. But Christians, you have different heresies and all that. So he decided to be a Muslim at this point in time. So having talked to him, I took him to a closest and he knelt down. I don't know how it happened, but he surrendered all. He surrendered all. His philosophy, his mindset changed. Everything about him changed completely. And not just that, he said, I want to follow you. We were shared to do door-to-door evangelism. Okay. So he said, I want to follow you. I gave him one of the books I was holding. So we went together preaching. So after that, he said, I want to follow you to the program. I took him to the venue. He took his bath. I gave him clothes to wear. He attended the program. That night, when they made an altar call, he was the first person to come up, to stand up, and he accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and personal Savior through water baptism. That happened, and even the next day, the second person, and the next day, the third person. So at that program, the 3 signs that I asked God of, including my school and that of my dad, came to realization.
That's impressive.
So
you told yourself, God, here I am.
I say, I'll go where you want me to go. I'll do what you want me to do, and I'll be where you want me to be. So I left everything. I never had that intention of going back there. So I was asking myself, after this program, what happened? Where do I start from? Where do I start from? So after the program, I saw that it was God leading. Because of all the persons, why me? Why would they ask me to stay for post-mission and even for LTM, long-term missionary engagement? So I was contemplating my namesake, the speaker, God's Time Ndems. He encouraged me and said, I never believed that you will come to accept Jesus Christ to this point of working for him. That I am so happy that you're here, that just stay. I say, I will stay, just stay, I will stay. So,
okay. So after all of this, you now got baptized by the grace of God.
Yes.
And I'll go wherever you want me to go, has brought you to
where I am
to
now.
the university today, where you are studying. You are doing a postgraduate studies in
in religious studies, pastoral ministry.
Training to be a pastor.
Yes.
Okay, so for the very brief moment we have left on the program, your dad, is he still pastoring outside, or he is Seventh-day Adventist today?
Oh, it was so amazing. In the year 2012, my dad joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So today, by the grace of God, there is unity, one love, one focus, one understanding. We understand ourselves. We are all together in one faith, one Lord, one baptism.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Quite an interesting story you have, and I want to thank you very much for sharing your story. I believe someone out there is blessed and would always be as a result of your sharing. Thank you for being on the program today.
Thank you, sir.
So, as we always say, on the Damascus encounter, when Jesus steps in, the direction certainly will change, because he is the game changer. And if you also have been impressed or you have been blessed, you also can share your story if you are willing. That will be all on the Damascus encounter for today. Until next time, I want to say keep encountering Jesus and have a blessed time.